Okay, so this is going to be a very unfiltered video. Um, but this video is mainly going to be for YouTube. But I think the last time I posted a video on YouTube, or at least a long form video, was about 2 years ago. It's about 2 years ago now. And I've gotten a lot of questions. I'm like, that's like, hey, where you been? This and that. And people follow me on other socials, they know what I'm doing, they know where I'm at. But I've not posted on YouTube for a while, mainly one because I switched niches basically. I'm not really in like the fitness side of stuff as much anymore. But right now I switched my content style more towards business and entrepreneurship and my day-to-day life, basically just posting fitness content. But in the last 2 years, a lot of things have taken a turn. I went from just basically being like a gym rat by default. Like I was going to the gym every day, 7 days a week, making content, doing whatever, which was not bad, honestly. I'm surprised. Like, I'm not surprised, but I was very, 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 very disciplined, and I saw that I could use that discipline and put it towards a better place, aka like business style stuff. So I basically switched from being a full-time gym rat to basically being a full-time entrepreneur. The journey has been very interesting. That's one thing I can say. The journey has been very interesting, and it's something I would recommend to pretty much everyone, mainly because one, the amount of connections you make, two, the way that you learn how to speak, three, the amount of money you make. Like it's honestly a no-brainer. But it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think that 2 years ago I remember I was working at Culver's at the time. I was working at Culver's, making about $10 an hour. I would leave, I wouldn't even go home, I would go straight to the gym. I would work out, be there for a couple hours, go to the crib, do the same thing again, school, work, gym, school, work, gym. That was like my only routine. But then once I saw like, hey, there's a lot of opportunities in the business field, but hey, I might as well give it a try. I'm basically gonna give you guys a recap of the last 2 years of my life. The last 2 years of my life have been the most interesting 2 years of my life. I went from making $10 an hour at Culver's, working out every day, being a complete gym rat, only worrying about the gym. I wasn't worried about anything else. During that year of 2024, actually, I kind of had the mindset switch where it's like a lot of my feed was like, business style content. And I'm like, I'm clearly disciplined when it comes to like the gym and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I would like the money. It's gonna be a fun roller coaster. Of course, social media was, glamorizing everything. Of course, at that time the drop shippers were, big at the time. And I low-key I'm like, let me try this out. Like I have nothing to lose. If something was to go wrong or not go as planned, I'll end up back in the situation where I was before, which is just basically getting a job. Which there's nothing wrong with having a job. Having a job is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. But at the same time, you need to look at it as something that you can use as a stepping stool to basically improve your life. So I started my business journey around the age 14, 15-ish. And yeah, I tried almost everything. I've tried drop shipping, I've tried SMMA, I've tried day trading. At that time, it did not go very well. One, because I was not very educated, I was dumb, not really knowing my things. Basically tried everything. Some stuff worked, drop shipping worked pretty well. I did fairly well for myself with that. But then I took a break for a while. So I remember I left Target and I started work. And I left. So I left Culver's and I started working at Target. And at Target, my position was basically it was fulfillment, which is like fulfilling online orders that come through. So I was doing that for about 5.5, 6 months, and then I remember there's one time I'm doing that for about 5.5 to 6 months, and I one thing I remember very vividly is like they always said, hey, like no, you can't use any earbuds, you can't have any AirPods or anything while you're working, which is like, yo, like I'm basically walking around the store as like a quote unquote shopper, shopping for other people. The least I can do is at least have one AirPod in, just so I can keep myself occupied. But they said no, we can't do that. So my mind was just always like, going, asking myself multiple different questions. I was always speaking to myself. People thought I was crazy, which at that time I think I was too. But that actually was probably the greatest thing that could have happened to me, because I remember the exact time and where I was when this idea came to my head. But I remember it was me and my brother. We're both working there together. And then he found another job. He has like his own like path that he wants to go through. So he found a job that would suit it, and it was only me left. So I'm like, okay, cool. My only source of entertainment is gone. Now it's just me, myself, and my mind that I have to deal with for 8 hours a day, multiple days a week. So basically, I was walking around one day, and I'm like, how do I get myself out of this? I'm like, what can I do? What can I possibly do to get myself out of the situation of having to come to work every day, not really making that much money, walking a lot, slaving like I don't even want to swear, but slaving like a motherfucker. And it was honestly pretty crazy, but I remember I'm like, okay, what businesses performed the best in the most recent economy crash, which is COVID. So COVID was in 2020. I'm like, okay, cool. What are the top 3 performing businesses at that time? I searched it up. I'm like, okay, cool. The top performing businesses were grocery stores, laundromats, and car washes. Grocery stores because people needed food, laundromats because people needed to wash their clothes, and car washes, surprisingly, a lot of people still want to clean their cars. So I looked into that, and then I'm like, okay, cool. At that time, I remember I was 16. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm too young to start a grocery store, and that requires a lot of capital. I'm too young to start a laundromat. That requires so much capital, and I'm too young to start a car wash, and of course, that does require a lot of capital. But I'm like, okay, what's the closest thing to those that are in the same industry? I'm like, okay, let me choose car wash. Car wash, what do they have? That's pretty close to it. Car detailing. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was pretty set on car detailing for a while. I'm like, okay, I wrote all the pros and cons down. I looked at, what could go right, what could go wrong in it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, cool. If I start up, I have, let's say I'm charging $50 to $60 a car. If I have 3 to 4 details a month, I'm cool. That's basically the money I need to survive and keep my head afloat. But then I'm like, okay, cool. If that's all I need, let me, basically go all in with it. So I basically started it up, not really got everything I needed, but I started it up, I got some equipment, and then I started doing my sister's car, my brother's car, family members' cars and everything, just so I can learn, one, and also two, so I can use it as social proof. Once I got all that was my social proof that I needed. I started posting. After a little bit, I'm like, okay, cool. At this point, I also did quit my Target job. So I quit my Target job, and then I tried to go all in with detailing. In the beginning, it did not go as planned. So what I did was I started looking for another job. I landed on Best Buy. I'm like, okay, cool. What can I benefit from Best Buy? Because Target, I wasted a lot of time and I couldn't benefit anything from there. So at Best Buy, I applied to become a sales advisor. The reason why I did that was, one, because it was pretty nearby where I lived. 2, they were paying pretty good, and also 3, sales. Sales is the #1 thing everyone should learn, and I didn't realize how important it was until after I got into the industry. So I got hired, I got into the job. The first about month and a half, 2 months were a bit iffy because I was still learning. I didn't know much about technology. I was getting to know everything. So I was doing that for a while, and little did I know, I would be so good at selling to a point where I was their highest performer in that entire store for 7 months consecutively. There were people that came before me that were doing really well, but I blew them out the water. I was, ranked #1 in that store for a while. And I'm like, okay, cool. My sales skills are pretty good now. Let me use that sales skills that I learned and put it into my business. So I basically did that. I started, taking a lot more phone calls. I started doing more research on how to scale a detailing business. I tried scaling my detailing business. It was going pretty well. I would work at Best Buy about 4 to 5 days a week, and on other days I would, schedule out, be booked out for details. And then I realized after a while, I'm like, okay, cool. It's spring/summer season. I'm like, this is when detailing is usually like performing really, really well. So I'm like, let me see what I can do. I launched an ad campaign. I remember I got about 30 leads that week. I'm like, this is way more than enough to be able to leave Best Buy and then pursue detailing full time. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't quote unquote leave Best Buy, but I went off schedule because that's what they offered me instead of quitting, because apparently they didn't want me they didn't want me to quit the job because how well I was performing. So I'm like, hey, let me just take it. One, because it's always gonna be a backup if detailing was to not go as planned. Two, because I still get to keep my employee discount, which is phenomenal. And then, so yeah, I ended up leaving Best Buy for a bit. I went all in on business. This is my first time being self-employed, so I'm all jolly up in the clouds. I'm very happy about it. So I started up. I was making a good amount of money. I was very comfortable. I was very comfortable, and I realized there's a lot of leaks in my business. By leaks, I mean there's a lot of things that are falling apart slowly, and if I don't catch it at the perfect time, it's gonna mess it up. And I kind of put it off for a little bit because at that time, that was my first time being self-employed. So it was like, I'm on top of the world now. No one can tell me what to do. I have my own schedule. I'm running my own business. And that basically made me not work as hard, if that kind of makes sense. So I got pretty comfortable in the beginning, and I didn't work as hard. But then I realized, or I saw it in the performance of the business. Traffic started slowing down, ads were not performing really well, business was slowing down, money was not really coming in that much. And then I made the very hard decision. Sometimes a guy has to put his ego to the side, because at the end of the day, the bills still are due at the end of the month. So I went back to Best Buy because money was pretty tight at the time. So I'm like, okay, cool. That did not go as planned. I was at Best Buy for a little bit again, and then after a little bit of like trial and error, I managed to balance both work and business at the same time. I was able to scale it properly. I hired a marketing team. I started, recording a lot more content with detailing, started posting more, started relying more on SEO and Google and those stuff like that. And surprisingly, the business started performing a lot better. And then after a while, like Best Buy slowly started to, not be it for me anymore. I didn't really enjoy the job as much anymore. So I made another hard decision. I'm like, okay, cool. If I want to leave this job, one, I'm a lot older now, so I have a lot more bills on my back. So I need to either be making double or triple the amount of money. So then I realized, I'm like, okay, cool. My business is still performing really well. Let me take another leap of faith. And I also did sit down with myself for a little bit. I'm like, okay, what did I do last time that I don't want to repeat? What did I do last time that I do want to repeat? So I wrote that down, and then I made sure to. Make sure. Well, does that make sense? Okay. So basically, I made sure to not do those same mistakes again, and I also made sure to whatever I did right, I made sure to do that properly. So basically, I said, fuck it. This is. If I'm gonna give this another try, if things don't go as planned, then I just come back to Best Buy. I'm gonna take that risk to try and improve my life. But of course, God always has a different plan for everyone. So I kept that back up again. I went back to off schedule detailing. I went full time, and then that leads us to today. So right now, I currently am quote unquote still employed at Best Buy, but I don't work any shifts there. I'm full time detailing. And it's kind of crazy now. It's like 11:30 at night right now, and I'm literally just chilling. I'm recording a video. I'm vibing. I got all the work I had to do done, and surprisingly, now this is probably going to be the point where everything just skyrockets. Thank God that I've reached this point. Luckily, now Best Buy and detailing is not my only source of income. I also do day trading on the side, which I tried a couple years ago, went horribly, but I'm like, okay, cool. I wasn't very educated in this space. Let me educate myself on it, see how it works, and give it a try. So I sat my butt down for about a month. I was learning everything I possibly could. Then I started prop firm trading. What prop firm trading is, you buy an account, it gives you a certain amount that you can lose, a certain amount and a certain target you need to hit. Once you hit that target, you can request funding. Anything else that you make after that is pretty much yours. So I tried that out. I was failing horribly in the beginning. I was blowing multiple accounts. I lost thousands of dollars, but at the same time, I already knew that this is what it's gonna take, and it was just the beginning. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is just the beginning. Let me thug it out for a little bit. So I basically did that too. And now, like, it's going pretty well. Can't really complain. I trade about 5 days a week now, every day throughout the weekdays, and it's going pretty good. So that's also a really good benefit, because I can use that as an extra source of income, but also use that to reinvest into the business. So yeah, right now with detailing, it's going pretty well. Right now we're about to hire about 2 to 3 technicians in about a month and a half. We're signing on a new dealership that's they own 4 complete dealerships. We're gonna be signing them on, getting all their cars detailed and maintained. So yeah, detailing is gonna be going pretty well this summer, hopefully. And luckily those 3 technicians are going to be taking over my role in the business, and they're going to be going out doing all the details for me, and instead of me working on the business, I'm going to be working in the business, which is going to allow me to scale this business to the moon. But yeah, honestly, I hope one day I can look back at this video and be like, either 1, I did it, or 2, it was worth a try, and I'm happy that I experienced it. But whatever happened at the end of the day, it's God's plan. So yeah, right now it is currently, what time is it? It is currently 11:49 on a Friday night. And yeah, this is basically the life, or quote unquote life, of a business owner. It's 11:50 at night. I just finished up filing for different business insurance for, of course, the business and also our mobile vehicle. I also got some systems set up. That took me about a couple hours. Did some more research. Had a interview with with a potential technician to join the crew. Yeah, got a good amount done. Had some coffee. I'm just chilling right now. But yeah, tomorrow is Saturday. I believe I have tomorrow's Saturday, and we have 2 technicians coming in for their first day of training. And yes, this is going to be a very, very, very interesting journey. But honestly, right now with content, I'm just doing it for just documenting the journey. I have absolutely nothing to lose. So fuck it, let's do it. Because one day either I'm gonna be looking back at it, I'm going, wow, I'm happy that I documented all this, because who knows, one day I might be 30, 35, 40 years old. I'm like, okay, let me see, what I was doing back when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. So I'll be able to look back at these videos and, go from there. But, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. This industry is gruesome. It is a pain. But yeah, let's see what we can get done. This is honestly only the beginning, because I've done crazier things when it comes to business. So yeah, let's see what I can do. Let's get this rolling. Let's get these technicians on, and we're gonna keep this going, bro. we all gotta eat, man. We all gotta eat. So yeah, life. So this is basically the recap of the video. I explained one, why I was gone from YouTube for so long in those 2 years, what I was doing those 2 years, how I did it, what was the process, what it looked like, and where I am now. It's crazy to think how much I've accomplished in these 2 years, and I'm very grateful for what I did and why I did it. But at the end of the day, the job is still not finished. We still got a lot more to do. We still got a lot more money to make, and yeah, we can only wish for the best and get shit done. We can only get shit done and work from there. But there's a lot of people that, be like, hey, put me on. I'm like, yo, like, I can't, there's no way I can put you on. Like, there was no one that put me on. I just figured this shit out. Everyone's gonna have their own path when it comes to business and entrepreneurship. Not anyone can put something. So everyone's gonna have their own path when it comes to entrepreneurship. Some people, they'll go, the aesthetic businesses. Some people will go for boring businesses. Some people will go in the middle. Everyone has their own journey, and something that works for someone might not work for you. That's why when a lot of people say, put me on, I'll be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is that. Go ahead and give it a try. See if you like it. If you don't like it, then go ahead and stop. It's up to you. But at the same time, I do tell them it's not fun. It's not a interesting. It is very interesting, but it's not fun. It's not cheap, and it sure is not easy. It is gonna drain you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything, and financially. It's gonna take you down some dark and deep rabbit holes that you never thought you would ever be in. But at the same time, that's the best thing about business. Business is it's a new roller coaster every day. Some days everything might be sunshine and rainbows. The other day it's gonna be a fucking hailstorm. It's gonna be crazy. But that's the fun part about it. We all love it. That's why a lot of the people in business, that's why they do it, because it's just very interesting what can go wrong and what can go right. But at the end of the day, you do you, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you, and go from there. That's one thing I can say. Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much a recap of the video. It is almost 12 a.m. in the morning, so I better get going. But yeah. But it was great recording this video. I'm probably gonna do this more often, but we can only wish for the best, right? See ya. This video is about 25 minutes long. I don't know what I was yapping about for those last 25 minutes, but I will go back and watch this video, see what I was talking about. I don't know whether I'm just tweaking or if I'm just going crazy, but yeah, this is basically life as a business owner, and especially at this time of year. This is the best time of year to start a business. Everyone's out, everyone wants to do something, everyone wants to spend money. So look around you, see what type of opportunities you have, and go from there. That's it. No more put me on, no more yo, can you teach me? Me personally, I'm not the type to sell a course, but if you want me to teach you, it's not gonna be for free, because I'm using my time, I'm using my energy, my knowledge that I've gained by myself for free. It took me a long time to acquire that knowledge, so there's no way in hell I'll be giving it away for free. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever start selling a course. That's just me personally, but I'm always up to answering questions. Like, there's some people, they'll just ask me a quick question, I'll answer them back. But yeah, you do you. It is about 12. And yeah, it's about almost 12. I got some Spotify running. We just finished watching the Timberwolves game. Honestly, the Timberwolves got blown out the water. It was crazy.